Hey friends, let's take a look at November. I can't believe how quickly the time goes. I'm going to give you a quick recap and then we'll jump into decks. So, one of the big things that happened for me this month was a trip that I had planned for 2025 that I thought I would have to cancel. Um, it's back on. Very excited. We just shifted it from 2025 to 2026. This is a mother and daughter trip that we'll be taking to Rome, and we are over the top excited about this. I mean, ah, so many emotions that go into planning trips, right? And this one was certainly one of them. We definitely had to pull out the cards on more than one occasion to help us navigate what to do and next steps, but very happy that everything seems to have worked out and we'll be able to push forward with that. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that it was Thanksgiving this month. I have so many mixed feelings about Thanksgiving. You know, I grew up celebrating Thanksgiving, and as time goes on, I start to feel a certain kind of way about it. So I go back and forth, and this year I decided that instead of the traditional meal, that instead I would change things up and go with something completely different. So this year we traded in the turkey for a lasagna and the pumpkin pie for a tres leches cake. And certainly very, very different, but so much fun to do. It really like shifted the mood of the day, and everyone participated. My daughter made a dish, my son made a dish. We had a relaxed day. We did watch the parade, and everyone kind of did their own thing, including me. It was really nice. And I ended up the day working on my journal. I put together a gratitude spread, and that was a lot of fun. And actually, since I have my journal here, I will show you. It turned out pretty well. I was very happy. And that's how I ended the day. Other main events, TV shows. I finished the Atypical Family. And for those that are new to my channel, thank you so much and welcome. I am a major fan of K-dramas, and so I watch plenty of them. And so I just finished Atypical Family, and the ending was just not, uh, it could have been better. The ending could have been better. I was disappointed with that one. And then tonight, my daughter and I will be finishing Lovely Runner. As you know, we've been watching this on Sundays. We watch an episode together. And last week, it was so hard not to just say, let's finish, because we literally only have 2 episodes left. And so, you know, usually these dramas have 16 episodes. And right when you get to episode like 13, 14, like things start to pick up. And so it's really hard to part. I usually just watch them. But since I'm doing it with my daughter, I wanted to, you know, kind of wait and see. So we'll be wrapping that up tonight. Very, very happy. In terms of books, I've mentioned before, I'm not really a big reader, but I'm trying to get better at it. So this month for books, I um, I have been working on this one for quite some time. Tarot for Yourself. And this is an activity book, right? This is something that you can do to kind of help you um, get deeper in your practice. So I've really been enjoying this book. The last chapter that I did was all about the court cards, and it was such a great exercise that I did in the book. It was so helpful, and I'm looking forward to just continuing with this. This is something that I do every now and then when I have some extra time. I'll sit and work, because it's not just reading, right? It's like reading and pulling the deck and then following through with the exercises. So that is one that I have been working on. The other one is this sweet book, Braiding Sweetgrass. And for those of you that may not be aware, November is Indigenous Peoples Month. I joined a women's group, and they were they were doing a book club to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Month, and this was the book. And this book it was such a surprise. It was so good. And every time I wanted to like run and tell somebody, oh my gosh, guess what I read? It was like, oh yeah, I read that. And I was like, am I the last one that hasn't read it? It was so good. Now I didn't realize that there was multiple versions of this book. So I picked up the young adult version. But there's so much art in here. It was so pretty, and I wanted to show you just a few. um you can see, like, it's just so amazing, the artwork and the stories. And oh, this hit home in so many different ways. I thought a lot, I journaled a lot, I cried a lot. It was just very, very powerful. So when I went to the book club, um, we had such a great conversation, and they suggested another book for me that I will be picking up from the local library, and I can't wait to do that. So there's where I am with books. New purchases. Sorry, I forgot one of my purchases. So, first purchase that I wanted to share, Tarot of Oneness. I don't know where this came from. It was literally like out of left field. I have been feeling very tired for the past 2 months. And I took a nap. I had a very deep, profound dream filled with symbolism. I woke up from the dream, and I must have been disoriented, because when I wake up from dreams, I fumble for my phone and record something, so that when I wake up in the morning, all is not lost, right? And so I must have thought that it was nighttime when it was actually day, because it was just a nap, and fumbled for the phone. And instead, I see that I had added this into my car at Etsy, and the creator had sent a message, and I just like immediately like clicked on the link, and next thing you know, it was a done deal. And I was still disoriented from my dream, but I felt like it was meant to be. So I did it. And I got this deck. I haven't used it yet. I'm very excited. I am planning a really fun um, live for this. So be on the lookout. The other purchase that I have is my We Moon 2025 planner. I'm going to hold it like this because there's a little bit of a glare, but this book, oh, it's a planner, right? I don't know that I'll use it as a planner, and I don't even know that I'll write in here. Maybe I will, I'm not sure. But I really got this to help me align more with the monthly cycles. The artwork in here is tremendous, and the poetry, the explanations for all of the astrological signs for the wheel of the year, just so much information. I felt like this would be a really great resource for me moving forward. I've already marked off different sections of the book that I know I want to refer back to. And believe it or not, I fell in love with artwork in this book like almost instantaneously. And a friend of mine reached out and let me know that the person that I was drooling over actually had a deck. So, of course, I had to purchase that. That will be coming. But yeah, I'm very excited. This calendar, let me see, I think it starts December. Yeah, December 16th will be the beginning. So I have it all ready to go. The other thing that I did, or I thought would be fun to do only because I'm a nerd. I decided that I would kind of catalog where I am with regards to my channel. So I went through all of the stats. I'm looking here because this is where I have everything written down. I went through all the stats, and for the month of November, I was able to put out 7 videos, which blows my mind. 7 videos, 26 shorts, and 3 live streams. I'm so incredibly proud of that because I was just thinking to myself, I created the channel a while back and I really just did flip throughs in the beginning. But when I really decided to kind of kick things off again, it was um, late August. And so it's been 3 months, right? August, September, October, November. Yeah. It's been 3 months. And in those 3 months, I'm just blown away at how much I have been able to do with the channel. I'm very excited. I'm so filled with ideas for the next year that's coming up, and it's just thrilling. It's a lot of fun, and this has been so great for me. This creative outlet and this connection with other people has been really, really good for me. So I wanted to say that the 3 lives that I did were all collaborations. Again, another thing that I'm super, super stoked about. I was able to collaborate with 3 different channels, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that in the coming months as well. Now, in terms of decks, I have 2 decks that I'll mention, but I mention them every single time because literally they just don't leave. Like I use them all the time. One is my Sasarai Beetle, and this is my deck that I use for all career questions. And I use this deck for motivational pulls, for weekly overviews, just anything in general, anything that has to do with career. And so for that reason, it just stays at my work desk and it's just always there. And I always use it. I use it every week. I use it on Mondays. I use it on Fridays. And then I use it in between if I need to. So this is the Sasarai Beetle. It's a workhorse for me and it's always there. The other deck that lives on my night table is Tarot of Light. I've talked about this deck before. I originally picked this up because of the artwork. I had an Oracle deck with some of this art, but I wanted more. So I decided to let go of the Oracle deck and pick up the Tarot deck. And this is my bedtime deck, my hug deck. um I don't use tarot every single day, right? Like I periodically will do a spread. Sometimes I do like for fun spreads around decisions that I need to make. And let's see, I don't know, just when things come up, I guess, right? But at night, every once in a while, I like to pull a card. And this deck is the one. It's always there and never gets put away. It's just so soft and gentle, and it gives a slightly different interpretation of the cards. It's not far from the RWS, but different enough that it's a good way for me to kind of meditate on the idea or their concept before I drift off to sleep. So this is my Tarot of Light. For the month of November, this was my main deck. This is the Ellis deck. And I did an unboxing of this. I'm still getting to know it. And because I was kind of thinking this was like a fade deck and I didn't have that kind of energy in my collection outside of Shadowscapes, but just Shadowscapes is just on a whole other level. So we won't talk about that one. But I don't know, I got it and I'm using it. It's pretty easy to read with, I would say. I enjoy the art. I enjoy the card stock. It just it has a different mood than what I thought it would be. It seems to be a little bit of, I don't know, like a jokester. I don't know. And like of all the cards in this deck, I must have pulled this one out the most. I pull this card out all the time for some reason, the black and white justice card. And anyways, I'm still like learning it and, you know, getting acclimated to it. It's definitely not what I thought it would be or how I thought it would be. But it has a little, I don't know, like a little jokester energy. More to come, I guess, on this one. But this was my deck of the month, my main deck of the month. Outside of those decks, I used a lot of decks this month. Guys, I I think like filming opens things up for me to use more decks than I ever thought I would, which is really cool because then the collection doesn't feel as overwhelming as it did before because I'm constantly pulling for decks. And I don't really, because I live in Florida, and for the most part, except today, I woke up and it was 50. But for the most part, there's not really a whole big, you know, like change of seasons and all the things. It's pretty much like warm or hot the whole year. So for me, I don't like, oh, this is my fall deck, this is my winter. No, I just pick whatever feels good to me in that moment. So this month I worked with quite a few decks. I did an unboxing of this deck. This is the I'm Here Oracle deck. And this turned out to be a sweet surprise. It is an excellent reader. So good. In conjunction, it works so well with tarot, and I was able to pair it with a deck, and they were just great together. This deck, I guess what I'll say is it was worth the wait because it was a very long wait, but it was worth the wait and it reads well, and I'm really happy to have this one. Now with this deck, this was a Kickstarter deck, right? And it blew all of the, you know, things out of the water, all the stretch goals. So in addition to that, I ended up receiving This Is Me. This is an Oracle deck. This one, I mean, the artwork is beautiful. I just don't know how I will use this deck. It has like the elements, right? So it has 4 cards here for element. And now that I'm looking at this, there's actually 2 earth cards. But there's 4 cards, one for each of the elements. And then there are planet cards, I guess I will call them, one for each of the planets. So if you work with that energy, you pull that into your readings, that might be a possibility. Then there's a card for each of the signs, astrological signs, which is cool. I don't really have anything like this either. And let me see. The other part of this deck is, let me see, Enneagrams, I believe they're called. Yes, Enneagrams. And I've yet to kind of look into this a bit more, so I don't know which one I am, but there's 1 through 9. Um, and again, very cool cards, very cool artwork. No idea how I will use this. So this is something that I need to play with a little bit more. And then the last part of this deck was plant energy. There's not a lot of cards, as you can see, and there's some interesting choices. This deck did not come with a guidebook, so it's hard to understand like why these particular cards were chosen. And there's some really pretty ones in here, but there was one like I was flabbergasted, coconut. I mean, I'm all for that because that's just a part of my heritage. But I was like, wow, I would never expect to see that card there. There was a couple, some are not, here, like lavender, that was expected, lotus as well. And then I don't know, but there was some that I was like, oh, okay, like pine. Oh, fine. Okay. So yeah, not a lot of cards, interesting choices. Would love to know more. Um, and if anyone has this deck and you have a way that you're using it, would love to hear because it really is unique and different. And I don't have anything else like that. So these are decks that are they're new, not new. New in the sense that I just opened them, not new because I've had them for quite some time. I just never opened them. So getting to know those. Other decks that I use, Pastel Kitty. This was just like a little test because I wanted to do a spread with it, but this is actually going to be my December deck because I like to use the month of December for inner child work, and this deck is just perfect for that. So you'll be seeing, you've already seen it featured on my channel a couple times. You'll be seeing more of this one. It's just fun deck that doesn't shy away from giving you what you need. So that is the Pastel Kitty. That one I put into practice this month. Of course, I'm actually using this more than I thought because I only use this deck in a very specific kind of way. But this is my Reclaim, which I pulled out for a spread this month. Again, very unusual for me because what I usually use this deck for is to help me put a word to the emotion, a name to the emotion by looking at the artwork and then allowing myself to journal to kind of get to the bottom of it. So I love to see this deck, you know, being used in other ways because it's certainly great for readings and spreads and all kinds of things. I just don't use it that way. So it was fun to do that. That is the Reclaim Oracle. Next deck that I used was the Lovely Om. This is a deck that I can't wait to dig into and learn more about. And I pulled this out for a deck comparison video. It was really cool. I saw the artwork. It reminded me why I loved it so much. The artwork, the colors, the imagery. It's just full of mysticism and very, very interesting, very different. And I love learning about different cultures and different practices, spiritual practices, different ways of, life. So I'm really excited about digging into this deck. I really haven't given this one all of the time that it deserves, but I'm thrilled to be using this sometime soon. So that is the lovely Om. The other deck I pulled out was my Ember and Aura. This is such a great deck, and I love this deck. This is a very spiritual deck for me, which is why I pulled it out to compare it to the lovely Om, and very Christian based. Um, Lots of mysticism, and I don't know, for anyone that grew up Catholic. Later on, I discovered that there's a whole world out there, and I stumbled across it on Instagram. They call it folk Catholicism, but it blends a lot of, spiritual practices in with all of the religious rituals that, we grew up with in the church. So it's really cool to see that side of it. Now, I don't visit church anymore, but not for any particular reason. I just don't, but I would. And if I'm open to like any church because I feel like um you know you don't have there's power in being in a house of worship with connected with other like-minded souls. And so for that reason, for me, it doesn't matter what kind of church it is, I still get what I need by going there. So anywho, that is the Ember and Aura. The other deck that has a lot of inferences to spiritual practices and beliefs, the Sufi. This is called, let me call it right, the Sufi Tarot. This is the Sufi Tarot, not to be confused with Sufi Wisdom and Sufi. There's a few Sufi this and Sufi that, but this is the Sufi Tarot. This is such a great deck. I love the art. Again, another one that I haven't been able to work with a lot just yet, but I love the imagery. In addition to my love of K dramas, I also watch a lot of, I just like international dramas, period. But I do watch a lot of like Turkish movies and dramas, and a lot of this artwork is kind of reminiscent, right, of that. In fact, when I take that trip with my daughter in 2026, we'll have the opportunity to visit Turkey, and I'm really excited. We'll be stopping at Rome, Greece, and Turkey. So I'm thrilled about that, thrilled to have this deck in the collection and to learn more about it. This is full of mysticism, just, oh, so good, right? Beautiful. The other deck that I played around with was my Phantom Wise tarot deck. I'm not a black and white person. This is like the only black and white deck that I have in my collection. And of course, I had to add a little pop of color to this deck. But I don't know, there's something, I don't know, fun about this deck. The artwork is really different, and it is very Rider Waite Smith, right? But some of the cards are really interesting and they read so well. um, when you're doing readings or spreads, like they're just so good, they tell a story. And this one is one of those decks that I'm still debating whether or not I'm gonna keep this in the collection, and I'm just still fooling around with it. I don't know, we'll see. But it was fun. I worked with this deck, and then I worked with one other Oracle deck. I worked with the Morgan's Tarot, and this deck is just, I don't know, on a whole other level. And there's just no words to describe it. But every time I use it, I'm just like, what the hell? There's just some random cards in here, right? Like, look at this one. Do wacky do. I don't know. And then other cards that are like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But this deck has been around for ages. And this was a deck that I actually gifted myself. Every year at Christmas, I gift myself a deck. And this was the one that I gifted myself, I think, a couple of years ago. And oh my God, I got this in a reading the other day. But it's fun. But you do have to like work with it and get to know it and develop your own um, meanings for some of these cards, because it does have a book, but it's just, I think it's better if you develop and carve out your own relationship with this particular deck. But yeah, very wacky deck, very fun. I'm glad that I have this in the collection, and I can't imagine this going anywhere anytime soon. The Weird of Sarah Howard. This deck is very, very cool. Gabby Angus West. This artwork is just amazing. If you have any of her decks, you already know, right? If you know, you know. This is an Oracle deck. It has playing card associations and then a few extra cards. It comes with a little guidebook. It has a lot of information, but there's a lot of depth in the cards and the imagery. I feel like it speaks to you. It speaks to you. I used this deck for a lot of different things, but when I first got it, I used it as a weekly card pull for myself, and that's how I got to know it, and I love it. I love the art. I love all the colors. I don't have a Gabby Angus West deck, so when she said that she was gonna reimagine this deck and put it out there, I was like, oh, I have to get that. And it's just so great. So this one did come out. This one did come out this month. This month, I also pulled out the Cosma Visions. I have the mini version. I feel like this is a great size. Of course, if I could, I would love to have like the full size of this one, only because I love the artwork so much, but this size works great. I just adore this deck. I love the artwork. I love the stock. I love the edging. I love how different all the cards are. It gives you like a certain kind of edge, I think, when you read. And I like to combine this with tarot, even though this functions as a tarot deck. It's just gorgeous. Other deck that I pulled out was my Vessel Oracle. This is again another like quirky deck. Minimal colors, but the colors that they have are, good for me. Pinks and blues, a little bit of green, I think maybe some yellows. Yeah, and this artwork is just fun. I don't know. I've yet to find a deck to pair this with, but one day I'll find something. I know this creator has tarot decks, but I really just wanted to find a different deck by a different creator that would still work nicely with this deck. But great deck. I really like it, and it does speak to me. So that is look at those card backs. So fun. This one is an oldie but a goodie. Work Your Light. Sometimes when I think I'm done with this deck and I just have it there for nostalgia reasons, I end up like pulling it out again. I don't know. There's a reason why this deck was just so popular. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. The color palette. I like collage work too, so that helps. Some of the cards have like some keywords that are like, what? So I struggle with that at times, but I still use it from, from time to time. And I did pull it out this month for readings. So yeah, so that is Work Your Light. My beloved Mary. This Oracle deck, this is the deck that I go to when I need to do work with mother energy, either um, working through some traumas growing up for myself, but also helping me be a better mother for my kids. This is the deck of choice. It's just so pretty. Great keywords. It reads well for me. I actually had a couple of Mary decks, but the other one I was struggling with, and I ended up parting ways with it. I kept this one, and it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And whenever I need, like I said, whenever I need that mother energy, this is what I go to, my Mother Mary. So wow, that's a lot, you guys. Almost 20 decks. So, well, I have to say, I'm very happy that the decks are getting used. And I like not to have such a rigid like set of this is what I use this time and this is what I use this month and this is what I use. No, like I'll have one main deck that I am using for getting to know you purposes. But for the most parts, the rest of the decks, they're just what feels right to me in that moment. And I decided to kind of chart all of this and kind of um, put it into my journal. So I did a little November recap in here. This was a lot of fun. Of course, I was able to incorporate my washi tape and stickers and just all kinds of things. So I put this together. It was awesome. And it's a great way when you reflect back, right? When you complete the journal and before you put it away, you go through and you look at all the things that you've accomplished during that time. And I just feel like these little recaps are going to be a great way for me to kind of reminisce and look back on all of the fun things that I have done. So that is all, you guys. It was a lot. I know. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. A lot of fun things in November, a lot of emotions, a lot of, laughter, a lot of tears. But at the end of the day, we're still here and I'm looking forward to December. And that is what I have, friends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.